highlight the current health of our thank you, and good morning, everybody. I want to thank the EPA for the invitation to provide an opening address to the annual Water Conference. It's only my second time to attend personally, and both times it's fantastic weather, so that's kind of an exceptional environmental achievement already by the EPA. I'm aware that the conference is a milestone event in the calendar of all of the thinkers, influencers, decision makers and practitioners around the various measures that are necessary to tackle water pollution. We'll shortly hear from the IPA on their latest Water Quality Indicators report, which will highlight the current health of our water bodies. It's already out in the news, as most of you will know, and frankly, the news could be better. But a factor that has to be taken into account is that while our efforts are intensifying, there is a time lag before the positive impacts are realised. Minister Malcolm Noonan, Minister of State with responsibility for nature and heritage, had hoped to be here to open the conference today, but unfortunately parliamentary obligations meant that the logistics simply didn't work. I know he wanted, though, to place a focus on the twin challenges of biodiversity loss and water pollution. While it is outside my personal area of responsibility, I will make some comments on the biodiversity issues and how we are responding. But of course, these are my words and not the Minister's. In May 2019, Dáil Éireann declared a climate and biodiversity emergency, and in doing so acknowledged that we are losing biodiversity at a rate that is called for alarm. Needless to say, we're not alone. The issue of biodiversity and the societal, economic, geopolitical and environmental risks associated with its loss have increasingly come into the public consciousness at a European and global level. Water quality is critical to biodiversity, and with the right approach to managing our natural water resources, it can play a key role in strengthening the resilience of our environmental systems. The challenges are well known, spanning threats to the resilience of our water supplies, the loss of high-status water bodies, nutrient pollution, and degradation of the natural functions of our rivers for biodiversity and flood protection. It's imperative we focus on meeting these challenges and find a more sustainable pathway. The proposed EU Nature Restoration Regulation seeks to put in place legally binding targets across a range of ecosystems, including rivers, where the ambition is to restore the natural connectivity of rivers and natural functions of related floodplains by identifying and removing artificial barriers. The EU-wide target is to restore at least 25,000 kilometres of rivers into free-flowing rivers in the Union by 2030. The proposal has been very divisive in recent times, but after a period of stalemate, it now seems more likely the European Union will find a political agreement on the nature restoration law. Also working at the European Union level, Ireland has helped to negotiate an ambitious global biodiversity framework as part of the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, with strong commitments on the protection and restoration of nature. This, combined with the EU Biodiversity Strategy to 2030 and Ireland's leadership on the nature restoration law, has significantly influenced policy making at the national level, not only increasing our ambition, but shoring up our resolve to deliver on it. The government published a new National Biodiversity Action Plan in January of this year, a keystone policy that translates our global and EU level efforts to protect and restore nature into actions for Ireland. It includes targets that by 2025, nature-based solutions are contributing to national climate ambitions, and that by 2024, guidance on nature-based solutions in planning and development is available. We are making strong progress in meeting those targets. I now want to focus specifically on water policy issues. The European Union is the major driver of policy in relation to water through the Water Framework Directive and the various related directives for drinking and wastewater. It sets for Member States the overarching goal of tackling water pollution and bringing water bodies to at least good status, but leaves the implementing actions largely in the hands of Member States to be settled at the national level. The programme of measures set out in the River Basin Management Plan is the key tool and comprehensive set of actions to improve water quality. The Minister intends in the coming weeks to launch a new revised and strengthened River Basin Management Plan. This new plan, called the Water Action Plan, is the third cycle of river basin planning for Ireland and will span the period to 2027. The plan has undergone a protracted gestation period, and the EPA has called us out for being late with it, and in fact so too has the European Commission. We published the draft in 2022. The reason for the delay in finalising it was the process of engagement with many stakeholders, and particularly intensive engagement with key stakeholders, as well as the statutory processes relating to strategic environmental assessment and appropriate assessment. Ultimately, we think that time was well spent, and the plan is all the better for it. As we know, the problem of water pollution is multifaceted, and there's no silver bullet that will deliver a solution. The Water Action Plan is to deliver a range of actions to a range of actors that will deliver gains for our water quality. In fact, there are over 150 discrete actions in the plan, with most already in the course of implementation and the remainder to commence by the end of this year. While the plan is, as I have said, fundamentally a legal obligation under the EU Water Framework Directive, it also delivers on our commitment to abide by the principles of the UN Sustainable Development Goal 6 to ensure safe access to water and sanitation by protecting and restoring our water bodies and by providing sustainable management of our water resources. The programme of measures contained in the plan will address the quality of water in rivers, lakes, estuarine and other coastal waters. The slogan that we use, the right measure in the right place, seeks to capture the principle of a targeted, proportionate approach. The plan will be underpinned through the development and launch of 46 local catchment work plans by LawPro, Local Authority Waters Programme. Increased public participation will be a key input in these catchment management work plans through the establishment of new catchment community fora. The principal causes of the decline in water quality are the increasing losses into water of excess nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus from farmland, inadequately treated wastewater, and the physical impacts on water bodies, such as the interruption to river continuity from river barriers. I will outline the headline actions in relation to each of these pressures in turn. Looking first at agriculture. I know this afternoon there is a dedicated session on water and agriculture, which will deal with the issue in more depth. The Water Action Plan will seek to address pressures arising from agriculture through enhanced inspection and enforcement, alongside a balance of the implementation of additional measures, education and knowledge. The Department of Agriculture's Agri-Rural Environment Scheme Particularly the Acres Cooperation Project focuses on areas of high nature value, which are also home to 75% of our Blue Dot rivers. This will deliver mutual benefits for biodiversity, water and climate. A new European innovation project branded Farming for Water was launched in March this year. The initiative is co-funded by my department and managed by LawPro. It will invest funding of 60 million over 5 years. This is a strategically significant project to help tackle agricultural source water pollution over the third cycle. It is specifically focused on reducing losses of phosphorus, nitrogen and sediment, and where relevant, pesticides to water from agricultural lands by promoting the adoption of innovative best practice in nutrient management and through the application of nature-based solutions. It is intended that the programme will be availed of by 15,000 farmers. A key feature of the programme is that it is evidence-driven and focused on building the necessary local collaboration with farmers in areas that will yield the best results. It will complement the Nitrates Action Programme and other LIFE projects. I want to turn next to hydromorphology. Now, most people in this room will know that hydromorphology relates to the form, flow and functions of rivers. That's the good thing. On the other hand, most of the rest of the people in Ireland who aren't in this room don't know what hydromorphology is about, and that's going to be a challenge. River fragmentation is one of the greatest threats to freshwater ecosystems as it interrupts fish migration, blocks in-channel movement of fish and aquatic animals, and alters the flow of sediment, with negative impacts on habitats and biodiversity. Irish rivers are heavily fragmented by weirs, dams, sluices, culverts, bridges and other barriers. The physical impact of human activities on rivers in Ireland is second only to agricultural pollution impacts. For that reason, controls on hydromorphological pressures need to be strengthened, and to do this, a new comprehensive and robust management framework for these pressures is required. A new national hydromorphology programme is being established with the long-term vision of mitigating the negative impact of past construction on rivers to restore their flow, form and function. The programme will be supported by a hydromorphology expert group, which will include representation from all key stakeholders. The new regime will deliver multiple benefits for water, biodiversity and climate mitigation and adaptation, with the aim of ensuring that all water bodies achieve the required ecological status. As an initial step in this programme, IFI, Inland Fisheries Ireland, will lead a newly approved national barrier mitigation programme to deliver either removal or mitigation of all problem barriers identified by the IFI as part of their national barriers programme. Start-up funding of 1 million has been provided by the Department and the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications for a newly resourced barriers mitigation team in IFI. It is envisaged that the programme will require new capital and non-capital funding of 110 million up to 2027. The aim under the third cycle River Basin Management Plan will be to mitigate 5% or 257 of the problem barriers identified by IFI. Initial estimates suggest that the programme will reopen 5,000 to 7,000 kilometres of river channels across the state by 2027. 4 flagship pilot barrier mitigation projects are currently being progressed by IFI to trial methods for effectively managing a variety of implementation challenges. These pilot projects will inform the wider National Barriers Mitigation Programme and include Ardnacrusha on the Shannon, Anacotty Weir on the Mulcair River, Clohammon Weir on the Slaney, and a number of barriers on the Dodder in Dublin. I want to turn now to the issue of urban runoff. The Water Action Plan seeks to develop a strategy for the implementation of urban nature-based solutions at a national scale to mitigate the pressures from urban runoff, particularly with the changing rainfall patterns due to climate change. The National Strategy for Urban Nature-Based Solutions was launched recently and was a collaboration with my department, Department of Environment, Climate and Communications, and other partners, including the EPA and LawPro. This strategy will be used to mainstream the implementation of urban nature-based solutions and is being overseen by a dedicated steering group comprising representatives of the relevant departments and agencies. The department also launched a document entitled Rainwater Management Planning Guidance for Local Authorities, which is aimed at local authority planners to assist in the development of rainwater management plans. I think it is self-evident that extreme rainfall events are becoming more frequent as we increasingly see the effects of climate change. Apart from the flooding risks, extreme rainfall can significantly increase the level of pollution entering water from water bodies from urban runoff. A pilot project funded by the department and commenced last year with Cork and Dublin City Councils to investigate how nature-based solutions can be used to address urban runoff pressures. This project will look at a number of sites where a 24-month monitoring study will be undertaken. Last year, the department, in collaboration with the Department of Transport, published the design manual of urban roads and street drainage using nature-based solutions. This document will provide road designers with practical advice on using nature-based solutions for drainage in their road and street designs. Officials are currently liaising with professional bodies to devise training courses, webinars and workshops so that those working in the area will have the tools to design nature-based solutions into their projects. In combination, these measures are seeking to lay the foundations for significant change over time in how we approach the management of urban runoff. Water services are the next issue I want to focus on, and clearly both water abstraction and the return of wastewater to the environment have to be managed properly. The National Development Plan has committed to funding Uisce Éireann's capital investment plan for drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. It provided for almost €6 billion capital investment by Uisce Éireann from 21 to 25, of which over €4.5 billion will be Exchequer funding in respect of domestic water services. In Budget 2024 alone, funding of €1.6 billion was made available to Uisce Éireann. This investment will deliver significant improvements in our public water and wastewater services, support improved water supplies right across urban and rural Ireland, and support a range of programmes delivering improved water quality in our rivers, lakes and marine area. The issue of non-compliance of wastewater discharges is long-running and rightly brought to attention by the annual reports of the EPA. The need to resolve this is not contested, but the delivery of solutions is complex and takes time. Under the current plans, discharges of raw sewage to watercourses will be resolved by the end of 2026, subject only to exceptional overflow events. There is a statutory requirement for the Minister to establish a water services policy statement that sets out policy objectives and priorities of the government regarding the provision of water services. The first one was adopted in 2018. In February this year, the Minister published a new statement for the period 2024 to 2030. The key themes in the previous policy statement have broadly been retained, as a number of the current and future challenges remain unchanged. There are three main objectives and a series of related priorities that capture the government's strategic approach to water services delivery in the period to 2030 and beyond. The three key objectives are, firstly, availability and reliability; secondly, safety and quality; and thirdly, sustainability. One specific issue that I want to mention is the commitment that is made to establish a National Water Conservation Working Group to advise the Minister on a future strategy for water conservation and prioritisation of resources during periods of water stress. Use less, lose less, take less is a well-known catchphrase in relation to water. We need to do more in this country to build better recognition of the value of water and the need to be more sparing in its use. In many other countries, the pricing of water goes a long way to promoting that more sparing behaviour. But in the absence of pricing, we have to work on other ways of building public awareness of the value of water and the need to avoid waste. Looking to the future, the government has made a commitment to the establishment of a climate and nature fund with a funding provision of €3.15 billion. The proposed legislative framework governing the fund is now before the Oireachtas in the form of the Future Ireland Fund and Infrastructure, Climate and Nature Fund Bill, I expect it will be enacted this month. From 2026, this new fund will support actions in climate, water and biodiversity policies, including nature restoration, enabling us to invest in communities, farmers, fishers and state agencies and bodies to deliver action for healthy nature, clean water and climate resilience with accelerated pace and increased scale. I'll finish now with a few concluding remarks, drawing together the various issues that I've raised. Significant progress is being made in advancing the measures that we need to improve water quality, but the consequential quality improvements are emerging more slowly than we would like. The effective implementation of the various elements of the third cycle River Basin Management Plan will be essential to continue to build momentum. The secret to progress and delivery is collaborative effort. There is a wide set of stakeholders, and I think through that cohort, there is an acceptance of the problem, the need for action, and a willingness to take it. The conference today and tomorrow is an opportunity for all the key stakeholders to further reflect in a deeper way on the challenges and the issues that I've referred to here in headline terms. I have no doubt that the business today and tomorrow, possibly even late into this evening, will be informative and enjoyable and will reinforce our collective commitment to tackling water pollution. Thank you again to the EPA for the opportunity to address this conference, and thank you all for your attention this morning. Thank you.
Good morning.